Good evening and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is January 9th, 2015. My name is Lynn Marquidant and I'm your host. So welcome. I hope you have a project. FiberCast is all about what we can get done together in 60 minutes with fiber. Anything fiber, anything colorful. So welcome. I hope you've had a good week back after all of the holidays. I know I have. It was a good week. Got a lot done, but I sure am looking forward to being here with my fiber. So tonight we're going to make a doll, and I'll tell you about the doll in a minute, but first I wanted to show you that my mystery quilt is done, and it's on its way to dockside quilting this weekend. I even picked out the backing, thanks to Carol. Carol helped me pick it out, and the quilt is ready to be quilted. So what a fun project. I am very happy with it. I'm also happy to be shipping out the quilting part. And I hope you had as much fun as I did. So, and we'll see it again, but I wanted to do something different, completely different. You'll see I still have my machine. I haven't sent it out. I may at the end of the month to the Quilted Crow with Jean. Right now it's not acting up. And it was such a busy week that I certainly didn't get around to checking it out, but it's working for now. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make a topsy-turvy doll from the 40s and 50s, although don't quote me on any history. For the record, there is no bridge that goes to Mackinac Island. Maybe it was Wikipedia, I don't know where my sources were, but there's a bridge that connects the upper peninsula of Michigan to the bottom peninsula. That's the Mackinac Bridge. That's what all the ice and rain and snow has been on this week, and we've seen pictures online. But it does not go to the island. You actually have to still take a ferry. So I just wanted to let you know that. So always verify what I say. Anyway, topsy-turvy doll. This came from the Textile Tarts. So if anyone's out there from the Textile Tarts, what a talented group. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. And they send out a newsletter. And in this past newsletter, there was a pattern for this topsy-turvy doll. Now, I'm not sure. I had to blow it up, and I'm not sure if I did it right on all pieces, if that makes sense. I had to expand it or enlarge it using my computer, but I didn't probably enlarge all the pieces, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I wanted to show you a picture of what, if you can see that, if you look up McCall's topsy-turvy doll or upside down doll, that's what we're going to make. And it's a very miniature one, and we're going to make it with purple. And of course, as I was going through, whoops, and I already dropped the doll. Hang on. There we go. Okay. When I was picking out my things, it's very hard. I don't know if you all have this problem, but editing down your fiber can be really difficult. And I have decided that I'm not very good at that. What I mean by that is I like a lot of different fibers, and I have a hard time saying less is more. You don't need all of that to make the point or to make something work. But I'm trying to get better. So these are the purples that I picked out for her first dress. For one side of the dress is going to be this. But actually, before I even get to that, well, no. And then I got to looking at some greens for the other side. And then I thought, well, no, maybe that's too much. Maybe I do a more loud purple for one side of her. So that's the happy, excited, here I am. And then this could be more for she's going to church or she's doing something very refined. And this would be more of a demure side to our purple doll. So that's where I'm at with picking out the colors. And then these, of course, are going to make really fun hair. And let's see. So I said it was a really small doll. It is really small. It's only 6 inches from head to head. And you'll see I've put 2 arms on her already. And that's going to be the wild side. That's what I'm going to put with this dress. And then the other side, I was just in the process of putting on 2 arms. And I thought I'd do that. And then I've actually already cut out the dress. So don't worry, we don't have to do that. My fear is that, here you can laugh at this while I'm sewing this up. I'm concerned that this pattern for this is just the arm of the dress. For this little doll, it might be too big. So we'll see. This is supposed to be a back. Yeah, I think you can see that's going to be too big. So we'll have to make adjustments. And that's what this is all about. But let's first put her arms on and we can catch up. I have some emails that I want to read to you from all of you. Oh, here's another thing I wanted to share. So as I was preparing here tonight, as I was cutting out the fabric, I looked down at my workstation and look at what I had. I had, how many scissors do I need to make a little 6-inch doll? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and then don't forget the forceps for turning the doll. That has to be, yeah, 11 inches. That's a little bit of an overkill. So I had to chuckle to myself, but heaven forbid I run out of any tools. So I'll put those over there. And all kidding aside, these forceps are a wonderful tool for anyone who makes dolls. I highly recommend them. Another is the Barbara Willis fork, stuffing fork, and I have 2 of them. This is a smaller one. I use this all of the time. But let me just finish putting on these 2 doll limbs. I use the ladder stitch, or so I've been told. Again, you guys all know, you guys, you know I'm new to this doll making, so it's a learning curve. And I kind of like it. It's kind of exciting. It's like when I first started hooking rugs, or like when I first started quilting. There's something so enjoyable about learning a new thing to do with my hands, I think is what it is. So I had too much stuffing in here. So I just took out some, and I'm using the fork again to wrap the stuffing around and then put it in. The reason I had too much is at the very end here, I need to fold under the end of her shoulder so that I can sew it shut and then sew it on her body. And I know you can't see this, and I apologize. Bob and I were talking about having multiple cameras, and it's just not time yet, but someday that would be kind of neat. And I have to say, I was watching Ebony Love, who is doing the Downton Abbey mystery quilt, because I saw that she was going to use multiple camera angles for her live webcast. And she did, and it was cool. It looked to be one camera that she was moving periodically. So she would have it a broad view like this, and then she would put it down here very close to her pattern. And it was good. You could see it much better. So anyway, so see, I'm just sewing it shut. I know you can't see really, but hopefully you're just really listening to me and you are focused on your own work, because remember what we say, it's amazing what we can get done in 60 minutes. It really is. In fact, I was thinking yesterday, this FiberCast is like my Fitbit for creativity. You want to know what I mean by that? Is it keeps me accountable. I know that at least once a week, I need to do something creative. Doesn't have to be magnificent. It doesn't have to be new or a lot, but something every week so that I'm just not on the treadmill of life. And it has worked. When I look back, and my mom was reminding me, it's amazing what we have gotten done in the last year. So thank you all for contributing to that. It's been great. So now see what I'm doing here. I'm sewing this arm on very, very low. Now, when you turn, I've got to be careful though, because I want to make sure the arm doesn't impede when I turn her upside down. Do you know what I mean? I may have to have her have it out a little bit. Yep. So I'm going to do her out like that, not way up here, not excited, but just kind of in a nice repose. So who saw Downton Abbey? Don't you just love it? I thought the first episode was even better than I imagined it would be. Their costumes looked beautiful. They made it out of the... Oh, you know what, though? I'm not going to talk specifics in case you folks haven't seen it. Anyway, highly recommend Downton Abbey for all sorts of reasons, including the enchantment of it all, the thought of living in such a spectacular place. I wish I had my thimble. This is a quilting thread. I could be using, although it's a little dull, it doesn't really matter, but you can use button thread. Button thread's good. Or even for face sculpting, you want to use Nymo that you use for beading. Or as Sarah has said, you can literally use dental floss. See, so I'm sewing it on so it looks ridiculous right now, but trust me, this is going to be a topsy-turvy doll. And we're doing purple for KK's daughter. So KK in San Diego, if you're out there, this is for your daughter. We're thinking of her. We've had people ask about her. So your community is out here. I do love sculpting with this. It's very fun. And I think to save us time, I'm not going to, well, yeah, I'm not going to go around it twice. I'll do that tomorrow morning. So I literally just made a knot, and then I'm not even going to cut it. I'm just, because the doll's so small, I'm just going to go right across to the other side and sew the other arm on, and then we can get to the dress. So as soon as I go over here, here we go. Okay, let's see who's out there. And I wanted to make sure to do a shout out to new folks. Welcome to Kevin and Michaela and Jacqueline Favero. Thanks for your nice note. I didn't know you were out there. Linda, and of course, hi to Lorna, Sheila, McKay, Norma, Jean, Kelsey. Susan, if you're out there. Suzanne, I'm sorry. I sent you the houses pattern. I don't have the full pattern, but I have at least the 5 different houses from my winter house quilt, the paper piecing directions. So that's on its way. Here's a picture. Oh, hi, Norma and Marquet. Just wanted to let us know that they're watching tonight. Norma's working on her Bonnie Hunter mystery quilt. I just like the borders on mine. Here's a picture. Can't wait to get started on your mystery quilt. Oh, good. I have an update on that too. Oh, that's beautiful. Love it. Nice job. I like it against the green there. That really works. Well, Speaking of the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt, we kick it off on January 30th. And for those of you who might not be familiar, last year we did one. And it had a lot of pieces, including 1.5-inch squares that ended up being 1 by 1 inch squares. So by popular demand, I have promised to do a mystery quilt that doesn't have any 1-inch squares. And I wanted to show you where it is on the web so that you can at least get ready. Well, this was last year's mystery quilt, Daffodil and Crocus. And you can see that there were different variations. I don't know if you can see that. It's on the simplycolorful.com website, and you'll see some other variations, and there are others in the works that I'm dying to see. It was a lot of fun. The patterns are still there. Help yourselves. This year, and this doesn't have any pictures, I wanted to show you that, again, on the Simply Colorful website, I've listed the dates of when the clues will come out. And it'll be the same drill. It'll be Friday morning, the 30th, and then we go to February 13th, 20th, 27th, and 6th. And I'm not quite sure why there's so much time from the 30th to the 13th. I may have that date goofed up. Anyway, I'll triple check that. But it's going to be fun. Get excited. Look for 2 colors. It's only 2 colors, and the pieces are big. So welcome. Lena, hi, from her mobile Samsung Galaxy. Love watching you, especially on a cold winter night. Isn't it freezing? It was minus degrees earlier this week. Look at what you did. Oh, it's a beautiful Hexie's hanging. Look at that. Beautiful. Welcome. I'm glad you're watching. I hope the dolls will entertain a little bit. Oh, hello from Australia. Allison, hi. Haven't seen you in a few weeks. She says she's sitting waiting for FiberCast. I'm still working on Grand Illusions, but should finish the top today. Excellent. The photo is attached. I've been spending time with my daughter and family who live in England and being with my newest granddaughter, Matilda Molly, for the first time. Not much sewing going on, but lots of hugs. Oh, Allison, that is great. Oh, and she sends us both. So here's the mystery quilt. Beautiful. I love your colors. I love the purple. Oh, and here is Matilda Molly. Oh, is she precious. Beautiful. Is that on a quilt you made? Thank you for sending that. Love that. Welcome again to Kevin. Karen Doe. Karen, hi. She also sends a picture of her Grand Illusion. Very striking. It looks like you have a lot of good contrast. Oh, and now it's loading. There it is. Nice. I like that. Like my sister Karen said, you could, this mystery, I think you could get lucky in choosing colors that really worked, luckier than others. I love every one of them, but some of them you can see the pattern better if you maybe stuck with more contrast to the colors. Well, welcome everyone. Let's see who just, Jean. Jean, hello, and she says, did you talk about the quilt behind you? I did not. Welcome. And I'll sew on my other arm, and I will tell you about the quilt behind me. I finished it in April of 2002, and it was a Quilters Newsletter Hoffman Challenge. And I sent it up to New Hampshire, and it's all hand done. And the challenge fabric is in the middle. It was Tulip Hoffman fabric. It's in the middle in one of the tulips. Anyway, and I can't remember the pattern maker, but it was a pattern off the shelf. And it was fun to make. Didn't get a thing. And I have to tell you, I looked at it when I pulled it out. I wanted to find something that had purple in it. So it has a purple binding. That's why it's up, because tonight's all about purple. And luckily, I had labeled it. So we are going to do a whole show on labels next week, because it is, none of us shouldn't, we should all be labeling our quilts. And so we're going to make some and have them on the shelf for every time we finish a quilt, just so we do it. And I know most of you already do it. I, for some reason, have not gotten into a good habit of it. I think, or I'm sure it's because I'm so excited to go do the next squirrel goes running by, and I just have to get to that. So again, I'm going to put her arm, and you know what? I have to sew up her arm first before I sew it on. I thought I could do 2 steps, but I really can't. So thanks for asking, Jean. That's what that quilt is. So glad you're on. I love seeing your quilts. I'll have to show a couple of them. The one with all the books on the shelf for the fundraiser is wonderful, or for the library, I mean. Boy, at this rate, we will not get to the purple dress. But it doesn't matter. Just being here sewing is just grand. I looked on the news, and I'm not over in France. I'm not seeing that they have captured the 2 of the remaining gunmen. And then there were some other shootings. It's terrible over there. I hope that more people don't lose their lives in the process. I think last I knew, the 2 brothers had hostages in the outskirts of Paris. You know, certainly as we spend our free time working with fiber and doing art and expressing ourselves, you certainly, or I just don't like to see stories where initially the magazine there in Paris does satirical comics and writing, and that, you know, I hate anything that squashes creativity, even if you don't believe in their points of view. So that's the not so good news. And it's been cold. And bosses are back, right? Or for the most part. And for those of you who are bosses, welcome back. We're all a boss, and we all have bosses. That's what I've decided. We're a boss in some parts of our lives, and we have to abide or follow others in other parts of our lives. So we're getting there. And like I say, the purple dress is probably going to swim on this. Ow, 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 ow. But we'll give it a try. And then we'll just tailor it. KB, if you're watching, this is like miniature costuming, right? And Judy, if you're watching, I hope you're warm. I think I might even do the hair differently for each side. So the bright purple, she'll have kind of bright wild hair. And then maybe she'll have a bun on the other side. All right, so I won't do too much on that. I'll come back and fortify that. And I literally will just draw the needle through her. Pop. Okay. So here were my notes. Oh, another thing here on the East Coast in Boston, there's all sorts of discussion about the Olympics coming here. That'll be interesting to see. On the one hand, it's exciting. But on the other hand, it will be expensive and crowded, and don't I sound like I'm getting old? I'd rather go travel. So, travel to where the Olympics is somewhere else, not in my backyard. Because I've been to Atlanta, I've been to Lake Placid, and I see these big monstrosities that were put together, that were paid for and built for the Olympics, but now they're not used and they're just kind of crumbling down. I've been to Lillehammer in Norway. Same thing. They have this huge ski jump that is just falling apart. It's just, but someone has to do it, and it is very exciting. Okay, so here's the problem that I may have. The pattern said, cut out for the bottom of the dress a 7-inch by 12-inch. So we've got that, and we're going to gather that, and that's going to be the dress. I think before I do that, though, I want to make the bodice. So I have the front is one piece folded, and the back is 2 pieces. But literally, and then the sleeve is that big. If I literally just hand hold this, that is just going to be way too big. So the question is, I have never done, well, I guess I did years ago with Barbie doll clothes, right? How are we going to do this? All right. So what are you all working on? Although, you know, you're allowed to take a break. These mystery quilts were a lot of work, and it's so impressive how many people have finished them. Karen says, KB, my KB, she says TGIFCF. Thank goodness it's FiberCast Friday. Yes. Hi. Look at that. That is just not going to work. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew the shoulders together. These were the patterns I used. Did I show you that? So I literally cut out 2 pieces, sewed it together, and then we just put on all 4 arms. Okay, and I'm going to go down to 2, a stitch length of 2. And this did have 1/2-inch seams. I'm just going to use my Aurifil, it's kind of a beige color. I did buy a new spool of the gray Aurifil. There we go. Who was that? Oh, Rosemary. Hello. Rosemary from England just wrote. And it's her first live FiberCast. Well, welcome. It's probably quite late where you are, and we're glad that you're on. That's wonderful. As you can see, we're doing something a little different. Oh, this is the happy one too. So we've got to make sure. Oh, you guys are so good to put up with me. I cannot believe we're doing this. Because when you think about it, I'm going to have to move those. It's not going to work. Because look at this. So if I do topsy-turvy, my goodness, she's going to have a big... All right, so all we will do, always keep the thumb up on these things. I will just sew that so that it goes up like that, just so you know. So it's really looking like a spider. Yeah, that's what I'll do. You know what? No, I'm not going to even sew it up. I'm just going to, I'm going to loosen that one up. Because in the end, I imagine that you're just going to play with this. You know, hold it in your hand and up and down. Now that we've got the shoulder done, oh boy, here we go. Here goes nothing. I'm cutting it down. You know, they do this on Project Runway. Why can't we do it, right? Okay, that's getting better. Now I'm going to get my iron. It's down here on the floor. 1 second. Okay. Get that ready. I'm going to put purple in my upper thread. We'll see what that looks like. It's even probably a different weight than the Orifil. It's a Gutermann cotton, but it's a pretty variegated purple. Oops. And I just changed my needle. Oh, and it's too small a needle because it's Microtex. All right, I can change it out. Okay, just going to go with the universal. It's a good thing you can't see what's on the floor down here. Last night, I spilled my whole pin container. And I have not yet picked it up. Okay, let's try this. So we're not going to get to the green dress tonight, I fear. I had high hopes. You do have to give people who make patterns a lot of credit. There's more to it than meets the eye, which actually reminds me, Sarah Kokanowski, sometime if you ever want to come on and teach us how to make one of your dolls like Jack Frost or anything else, I know I would love that. And not so much teach, but just watch you, see how you do it. Well, that worked. Which is good because it's a batik, which is a pretty dense weave, but the needle and the thread are working beautifully. All right, so I just did the back of it. I'm going to leave the neck to do by hand, and I'm going to set in the sleeves. If I can find them. Okay. Now, that is just much too big. So, if it's all gathered, I'm just going to wing it. Okay. Go off like that. And then the most important is the curve here. All right, same thing. Let's just do a little hem. I have to say, the machine feels delightful right now. With this thread and this needle, it's working. Except that I just went off the page. Yeah. Thread. By off the page, I mean I was too close to the edge and I sewed right off it. So, speaking of Fitbits, how many of you have one? I am on day 2 of the Fitbit. And so far, so good. There we go. Okay. So get all of the excess. For those of you who may not have heard, a Fitbit is a pedometer. It measures your steps, and then it can do other things if you want it. I just got the little zippy one. I had some coupons, and my neighbor's doing it, so I decided to get one. So we'll just keep each other on track. This is the same neighbor I garden with, so it will be good. Now I'm going to gather the sleeves. So I'm going up to like a 4. Okay. You know, you gotta love the Bernina. Watch now, it'll break, but it does what you ask it, that's for sure. As do most machines. Okay, so there is one sleeve that will fit. So I'm happy with that fit, I think, so I'm going to do the other one. Okay, there's the other sleeve that I'm going to set in. And then I think while I'm at it, I'm going to gather the top of this, which is her skirt. And you know, the fun part's going to be to adorn this with, I don't know what, ribbons or rickrack, beads. Oh, and before I do much more, I want to hem the bottom of it. And let's bring her down again to 2. I hope you all are working on your projects, making good progress. Okay, so that is ready to then hem up again, which, let's see. I think I'm going to iron it up now. No, I'm going to sew it together. Oh, you know what we're going to do though? We're going to want to sew this to the other one because the topsy-turvy dress, the other side of this is going to be the other side of the dress. If that makes sense. The other side of the other girl's dress. Okay, let's go back to this while we can. So before I do the side seams, I'm going to fit in the arms. And I'm going to use my pins. And I'm going to set this in very gently. So who saw the post with Bonnie Hunter with Gene Simmons from Kiss? Wasn't that a hoot? Ironically, I had just heard Gene Simmons be interviewed by Adam Carolla. And Gene Simmons has a new book out. It's called, I think it's Me Inc. And he was being interviewed about how his approach to life and his philosophies and how no one was going to give you anything. And he's looking great. He's a smart guy. And what did he say? Let's see. He said the 2 tips were for men and women in their 20s. He said the worst thing that a woman can do in her 20s is get married. No. I take that back. Gene Simmons said the worst thing that a woman can do in her 20s is have babies because that takes her off the job market and therefore she doesn't have the skill to take care of herself. And the worst thing men can do is get married because then they are saddled with a woman whom they have to take care of for the rest of their lives. Sexist, I guess, as I say it. So forget I said that. Anyway, who's there? I just heard a hello. Yay, we have a Fitbitter. B. Anderson said she did 8,000. Awesome. Now relaxing and watching your show. Congratulations. Doesn't it feel good? Deb C. Could you share your camping blocks? Absolutely. I have no idea how to do them, but yours looked great. I can. I will definitely send them. I apologize. I thought I had sent them, so I apologize. I will do that. let me go into Google because I'm only seeing like your first sentence, and I think I might be missing some things. Sandra says hi. She says, I'm starting clue 3, but not tonight. I'm just starting a new purple crocheted baby blanket for my charity group. And enjoying a cup of hot chocolate. It was down to 8 degrees here in Mississippi the night before last. Burr. Oops, just rolled my huge ball of yarn over on Kayla, my Sheltie. And I bet all those kittens that you are taking care of would love that yarn. Go purple and go chocolate. All right, let's see if I can find. We have so many different routes to where these notes are coming in. Sandy Grog says, hi, been watching for a while, first time live. Well, welcome. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. She's sewing the binding on this quilt. Oh, Sandy is in Cincinnati, and I'm downloading the picture of her quilt. Oh, beautiful. Very bright. And you're using clips. I need to try that. In fact, for Christmas, I got these clips, clover clips. These look like hair clips. They work like the same way, I bet. Nicely done. Welcome. I'm glad you're here live. Oh, Lorna, hi. Lorna says, I look very nice tonight. Well, thank you. Question, how do you do your sashing? Do you piece your sashing or cut one long piece for each side? Happy quilting. Do you piece your sashing or cut one long piece for each side? You know what? Send me another question. I'm not quite sure. When I think of sashing, I think of it being in between blocks. And yeah, I could piece it, or I could use all one piece. And either way, I then sew it onto the block, maybe on 2 sides, and then do it on every 2 sides of every block, and then sew it together. And then the end result is there a sashing in between, like window sashing. Now, if there's also borders, which is like one big long sashing around the whole quilt. And I've done both ways that way. Make sure if it's one whole piece, there are some tricks. You can get yourself into trouble if you don't cut it against the grain, or if you cut it on the bias, or if you don't measure it and you just start going around your quilt. Oftentimes you'll end up with a wavy quilt. The border will be too long. So for example, for me, if I were making sashing out of this, and this is a 45-inch, came off the bolt this way, so it's doubled right here. I fold it in half, and the grain's going this way, but I put it on my board this way, and I cut against the grain down here. Let's say it's a 3-inch sashing, so I would cut 3 inches, and then I would have it. And maybe I'd have more than, I'd cut several 3-inch pieces, and I might sew it all together just to save me time. But then when I go to put it on the quilt, and I had this problem last year on the mystery quilt, and I didn't do a great job on this year's mystery quilt, and here's why, if I can try to explain this. When you sew so many pieces of fabric together, there is distortion, there's pull and give. And so at the end of the day, once you have a backing or a flimsy that's 80 inches by 80 inches, it's not going to be perfectly square. It's not going to be perfectly the same width on each side. So what you want to do is measure the middle from each side, and that's your measurement for your sashing. Now, if you don't do that and you just measure the outsides, it tends to get really wavy. So if you measure the crosshairs of your flimsy, your top, and then you cut your border to that length, you may have to feed in some of you're going to have to fudge it a little, or you're going to have to work the fabric so that it all fits. For the quilt that I just did, so last year I didn't measure the center and I just went around and it went very wavy. So I had to take it off and shorten the borders. I measured the center, put it on, eased in, that's the word I was looking for, eased in the quilt, and it came out pretty good. This year I thought, well, I'll go one better. My piecing's so good, I'm going to do the math and figure out that I need 81.5 inches for my first outside border. I didn't remember that I needed a 1/4 of an inch on either side. So I cut it 1/2 an inch too short. And then, of course, I was tired and I just wanted it to be done. So then I fit it. So I ended up, because my sashing was a 1/2 an inch too short, my quilt, I kind of shrunk in and eased it in. So I have puckers. And then when I put on the outside border that Bonnie had us make, it was too big. So now there are puckers in that too. So you'll see on one of my pictures that actually you can tell the border is a little puckered. So kind of a long answer, very long answer. Let's see, Lorna, if you sent anything else. But good question. Sue Ann LeRae, hi. Thanks for subscribing. Welcome. Here's a note from Renee down in southern Florida, and she says, it's not cold down here. Oh, we're jealous. We're very jealous. She says, I've been working on your mystery. Oh, I cannot wait to see it. Have more blocks to put together before the top will be ready. A few more days, stay warm. I cannot wait to see it. This is the one that has gray in the background. Oh, keep on plugging and enjoy the sunshine. Oh, what a crack up. Lorna says, oops, I meant borders. So hopefully that helps. I've done both. You can do both. So Rosemary, okay, here's from England. Hi again. She's been watching since November and really enjoy the show. Lynn and your sister Karen come across as kind, caring, fun, loving, beautiful ladies. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I've been quilting for about 4 years now and love it, although I won't run out of projects to do as I have 3 daughters and 7 beautiful granddaughters. Keep on quilting. Oh, Rosemary, you too. Oh, that is wonderful. Oh, and so Deb, I'll definitely send you the quilting blocks. I already sent you a message, so if you get this twice, sorry. I like your little doll. Too neat. Thank you. Thanks. You can never send me too many messages. And again, B, congratulations on your 8,000. And there's one more, and then I have to get back to my purple dress. Did you see someone come in? How fun is this, huh? Maureen, hi. She says, sorry I'm late. I was catching up on the mystery quilt. I'm addicted to my Fitbit. Really? So this is going to be a good thing. I tell you, today I felt like I was walking the dog, but in a good way. I hope it doesn't become an albatross. I'm wearing the one that goes right here. Oh, that's good to hear. Good, good, good. Okay, so there's one sleeve. I don't know if you can see that. Now let's set in the other sleeve. Oh, too funny, Lorna. You meant border all along. Southern Florida. I bet you don't get wood deliveries. We got a wood delivery tonight. In the dark. They came out from Brimfield, Bob said. And they dumped 3 cord in our front yard. So while a full-grown woman, aka an aged woman, well, I go play with dollies tomorrow afternoon. My loving husband will be stacking wood. Ugh. I will help him, though. I'll find some way to help him. But how funny is that, huh? Oh, Dwellin. Foster from New Zealand says, first time live. Hi. I'm so glad you're live. We have more people live. That's wonderful. Look forward to your mystery quilt. Oh, good. Pick out 2 colors. And white or off-white or gray can be a color, or black can be a color. So it's one and then another. Or you could do complementary colors, red and green, yellow and purple, or you could do 2 different tones. It's just 2 contrasting entities. So that's great. I can't wait to have you join us. I'm glad you're already joining us. I bet it's nice in New Zealand right about now. Or I hope it is. So I'm just setting in the other seam. Or the other, what is this? Sleeve. Okay. So we're getting there. Now let's try it on. See if it's at all in the ballpark of fitting. Huh, who knew one purple dress would take so long? It's still too big. Look at this, you guys. Still too big. Her shoulders don't come all the way out there. So, I could do a few pleats down the front. There definitely has to be an easier way to make a doll dress. But you know what we're going to do? To finish up this particular fiber cast, what I'm going to do is sew up her sleeve so that we can at least see it on her. And then I'll keep working on fitting it, and I will post a picture. Take out my pin. Speaking of that camper quilt, Deb, maybe that's what I need to get back to in these next couple of weeks. It's either that or Dear Jane. Who knows? Maybe we'll do one of each. It's so fun. Sue Norton, if you're out there, I'll be curious to see what fabrics you pick for your Dear Jane. Oh, South Dakota, Laura Becker. Hi. Laura says she's sewing with me on Friday nights. That's awesome. Thanks for FiberCast. Oh, I'm so glad you're sewing. Welcome. Oh, I bet it's cold where you are. So glad. Isn't it just amazing what we get done? Every time Bonnie has a quilt cam, I'm always listening to that and just sewing away. I've been enjoying Ebony from Lovebug Studio, her Downton Abbey quilt. I'm not doing that one, by the way, but I'm still just watching and listening. It just keeps me motivated as I'm here, You know, and kind of getting out of my own head too. When it's quiet, that gives me excuses not to do it, or I hem and I haw and I procrastinate. Half of just get, it's not that hard. We just have to do things, right? Where's my Barbie when I need her? This looks like it would fit Barbie. Way too big. What a riot. Although, look at this. So now her bodice fits, but it's just up here in her shoulders. All right, so let me pin one around, and then we're going to call it a FiberCast. And again, I'll post a picture. And keep on quilting. We'll think of a name. Again, Karen, KK out in San Diego, this is for you and your daughter. And she'll be much prettier when we're done. So happy Friday. Congratulations for getting through another week. Good for you for working on your projects or doing whatever you've been doing. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard. Bye, everyone.